Hey everybody, welcome. It's Cindy from Seeing Blind. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm not sure who is going to be able to tonight. This is a surprise pop in kind of live stream. And yeah, we'll see what happens. If you're watching this on the replay, guys, thanks so much. I appreciate you guys tuning in for this one. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm going to give everyone who has subscribed already a few minutes to get their notifications to join me this evening. Tonight, the topics are kind of, I don't know, I don't know. They're a little bit of a hot button right now. I don't know, at least in the past few months. I'm also well, almost knocked my camera over, y'all. um, these topics have been a bit controversial in the past. It's been, a source of a lot of heated discussions and chats and just trying to figure out where our individual selves lie, what side of the fence. And so I just thought it'd be fun to open this up to a community chat. Please, if you're watching this on the replay, feel free to comment below and participate in the conversation that way, so that everyone can kind of listen and read the comments as well as they themselves are watching it on replay in the future. Other than that, y'all, that's what's on the agenda tonight. If anybody is curious, right now, while we're waiting to get started here, I am in quarantine. I just posted a video talking about how my family has been, my immediate, like here, the four of us in this house, it has tested positive for COVID-19. My kids caught it, of course, at school. So, we are dealing with that, and thankfully, on the tail end, I've got my eyes open for that dreaded second wave that a lot of people talk about experiencing around day 7 or so. And that's kind of where we're at right now. But so far, everyone's still improving. We're not having any setbacks. My daughter has experienced some loss of taste. She says everything tastes bad or wrong to her right now. So, to a 5-year-old, I don't know, that's kind of strange. It's difficult to get her to eat anything, really. She's she's always picky, but even more so now. It's like even her go to foods just aren't doing it right now. So, praying for her to get back to a normal appetite. But other than that, both my children are improving. And my husband and I, we were vaccinated, so our symptoms are very mild. Thank goodness. And yeah, so hopefully life will be back to normal, at least for us, as far as routines and at least being able to get out of the house and mingling in small crowds and things like that. But hopefully, all of that will continue and, find some sense of the quote new normal, if you will, here coming up soon. All right, guys. So I am going to pop in on my iPad here and see if anyone's joined us. So bear with me just a second while I do that. I guess I should have done this prior to starting the whole live thing, but I'm tired, y'all. Anybody else tired? I always do these things at like 10, 11 o'clock at night, and I'm exhausted, and I'm a tired mom. But this is the only time I have to chat with you guys, so I'm I make myself stay up because it's worth it, and it's just something I have to make time for, if you know what I mean. Okay, I'm gonna log in here. I have to log in, it's so funny, as under a different account in YouTube. So how I do this, y'all, I have several accounts on YouTube. I will log in under a different one so that I can then join the stream and see the chat that way, because I can't see it on my screen in front of me, even though there is a chat box on the screen on my phone. I'm blind. I can't see that for y'all. So I have to, and y'all know I do use my screen reader too when you leave messages. So anyway, I have to do a whole roundabout way. It's quite complicated, I know, but it is frustrating sometimes. Let's see. Okay. All right. I think I'm here. So, if you are joining me, guys, if you're here, anyone here with me live this evening, say hello in the chat box. Give me a good thumbs up if you're doing good tonight. If you've got any questions, feel free to post them. We'll do a little Q&A along the way. Put a Q in front of your question. That will help me identify it as a question. Speaking of identify, tonight's label, well, I'm already ahead of myself. Tonight's topic is disability labels and gatekeeping. Again, guys, hot topics. I'm very interested to see what your all thoughts are on disabled, handicapped, differently abled. There's several different actual new kind of sort of progressive, I guess, trying to be progressive thinking terms regarding how you identify or not to these labels in the world of disabilities. And if you take it one step farther, some people identify as blind, some people don't. Some people say I'm visually impaired or just legally blind. Some people think I used to identify as legally blind, but now I'm just like, gosh, it's a mouthful. Why? I mean, I just say blind now, but I used to identify differently. So we're going to talk about all that tonight, as well as gatekeeping. I see a lot of gatekeeping, not just in the blind community, but in the world of disability versus chronic illness and just that whole discussion there. There's a lot to unpack potentially, and I'm not going to stay up all night, so we're probably just going to hit the highlights tonight. Be sure to check out the description box later. If you missed anything, you're welcome. I'm going to try to put some timestamps in the description box later on down the road. So you're please put a little pin in this discussion. You're welcome to check that description box out later for specific hot topics and areas and questions and different things in the conversation that will pop up through the evening. So let's see where this thing goes. And all right, here we go. Let's see. I think I've seen some people in the chat, so let's see who's with me tonight. All right. Again, I may have to turn on my voiceover just because my eyes are already so daggone tired. Okay. Hello, everyone's saying hello. Let's see. This is it Rafael 2 VIP? I'm not sure. All right, I'm turning voiceover on, y'all, because I'm not trying to like destroy anybody's names and screen names and things, because that's exactly what I always end up doing. Y'all, my eyes so work so wrong that when I'm actually trying to use what vision I have to actually read, the things I think I'm seeing is it's hilarious. You know, when you do texting, and so with voiceover, I also use dictation. And you know, when dictation kind of just gets it wrong, hears you wrong, like I say seeing blind, and every now and then it'll think I'm saying singing, like SING. And just little things like that. That's exactly sometimes the way I read too. It's so just funny, like the way my eyes work, I don't know. My brain fills in blanks wrong and thinks it's this letter and it's not, and I'm reading it anyway. Long story there. I'm going to turn my voiceover on because it's going to be a very interesting night, y'all. I'm already so slap happy tired. Okay. Okay. Now let's get to the chat, y'all. Give me a funny message to say because it might be really hilarious listening to my voiceover try to read it. All right. Hey, Raphael. Okay, there you go. Hello, my friend, and thank you so much for joining the channel. Welcome to Blind Community Chat Night. This one was actually a surprise, y'all. I didn't get to really give any kind of like 24 or 48-hour notice to put this on your radar for this evening. So popping in. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate that support. I feel so blessed and fortunate that, we're not making a hospital trip because you always hear these horror stories of not just people dying, but, I mean, that's terrible, of course, but you do also hear a lot of people going to the hospital or trying to get on oxygen and all this stuff. And I'm just like, oh my God, you think honestly, guys, just like everything else in life, you think, oh, it's not going to happen to me. And then it does. And life gets real. It gets real because then you are like, oh, well, then if I can catch COVID-19 and actually like, oh, yep, that test is positive. Oh my God, what am I going to do? That's when you start going through all the worst case scenarios and you start like, oh, I remember this horror story. Oh, I remember this terrible thing. Oh my gosh, my friend died of this last year. Does this mean this is in our, and it's like your head, it goes from like denial or oh no, like I have this sense of invincibility, like it's not going to touch me. And then it hits, and then your mental pathways kind of go and swing the opposite direction, and you're like, overwhelmed with all this anxiety. That's kind of where I was the first couple of days, like, holy cow. Okay, moving on. Let's see. Okay. Hey girl, author Lauren. Okay, Lauren Adele, you have commented a lot lately. I really appreciate your feedback. I've always enjoyed reading your comments here lately, and I appreciate your support in joining me this evening. So tonight, real quick, I have a few more messages here to go through to catch up. But while I am doing that, here's the thing I would love to know, everybody, if you are disabled, or if you identify as disabled, do you prefer that term disabled or some of the new terms coming up? Some people are bringing back handicapped. Some people are trying to introduce differently abled. Some people, let's even throw in special needs too. I'm curious, where do you fall on the special needs term? Is that something that you are fine using, identifying with, or not? Let me know. Special needs used to apply only to those with mental disabilities, but I think it kind of got generalized to the disability population and community as a whole, at least in some context, conversations that I've heard and been a part of. I felt like it was a much more generalized term than referring simply to those with mental disabilities. So, anyway, tell me in the chat box, guys, how do you identify? Disabled, differently abled, handicapped? Do you like the terms special needs or gifted? All of those things. Chat about it down below. Let's see what kind of conversation we can get going in the community here tonight. 10:41 p.m. Author Lauren Adele. Hope you're doing well. 10:42 p.m. Raphael Toro VIP. Q, do you think the blind community needs to be more open to the sighted community? Actions available. Do I think the blind community needs to be open to the sighted community more? In what way? I'm not sure. You might have to clarify that one a little bit to me. I think that the road does go both ways in all things. I am one of those people where I really value every perspective and try to respect every perspective. And so, as much as I want to be open and communicative to the sighted community, I also would appreciate the same in return. So I really appreciate when the sighted community asks and clarifies questions with me instead of assuming. I'd rather them just ask than assume, right? Speaking of that, I just put on a t-shirt design for my merch store coming out in a couple of weeks, guys. So if you didn't catch that announcement, I'm going to be starting a merch store, and that's one of my taglines on my t-shirt, y'all. I'd rather you ask than assume. So that's, I don't know if that kind of touches on that question. Let me know if not, kind of give me some clarification there, and I will revisit that question.
10:42 p.m. Rafael Toro VIP. Q, do you think the blind community needs to be more open to the sighted community?
Okay, so that's where we
10:44 p.m.
were.
Rafael Toro VIP. I'm from Puerto Rico, but I have been living in Massachusetts since 2005.
Oh, cool.
Available. 10:46 p.m. Author Lauren Adele. I like differently able, handicapped, and special needs always rubs me the wrong way.
Okay, so you like differently.
10:46 p.m. Author Lauren Adele. I like differently able, handicapped, and special needs always rubs me the wrong way.
Okay.
Actions available.
I agree with you when it comes to the special needs. So I totally agree. I never really liked that word because I have a problem with the word special. I have no problem with the word needs. It's special. I've never considered myself special because of my visual impairment. In fact, I felt the opposite. So, growing up, especially in the school system, hearing that term and hearing it when it's applied to other people that I don't see when, if other people are have a different disability or differently abled, or they have a visual impairment like me or not, whatever. When I'm looking at others and I think of the word special needs, I don't think of them as special. To me, they're just like me. Like, how does that make them special? I agree. It does. It's just never sat sat well with me in the past, and so I agree. I'm glad they are phasing that out. I believe. I've never thought that it was a very inclusive way of putting it. I think it's there. It was especially in the 90s. I think. Excuse me. I think that was kind of their effort of trying to put a positive spin on it, but honestly, I just think it sets just a bad tone. I don't know. I don't know. I just, for those reasons, never liked it. But so you do like differently abled. I'm going to jump in a little bit later. I want to see what everyone else is chiming in on as far as that term goes, differently abled. It's picking up some momentum. Some people have a problem with it, some people don't. I'm going to chime in just a little bit. I want to see what you guys are saying
10:42
here.
p.m. Rafael Toro VIP. Q, do you think? 10:44 p.m. Rafael Toro VIP. I am from Puerto Rico, but I have been living in
Okay,
10:46
got
p.m.
that.
Author Lauren Adele. I like 10:47
Got
p.m.
that.
Justin Holland. I'll stick with blind.
Okay, so Justin Holland. Okay, hey, how are you? Welcome this evening. So you identify as blind. Me too, man. I just, like I said, it took me a long time to even realize that legally blind technically means you're blind, like in the eyes, quote, I'm holding my fingers up, y'all, eyes of society and the law, you're blind. There's enough significant loss of vision there that what is left or remaining is not sufficient enough to adequately, function without adaptation in society. And so under the law, you're technically blind, and I never put two and two together. Like, I used to always just say legally blind because that's the label everyone kept telling me growing up. So that's what I identified as, and I also didn't see it as blind. To me, it meant more like partially sighted than it did blind. And I had a huge issue with acceptance. I don't know, y'all, give me some big like thumbs up. If anyone struggled with acceptance, uh, the beginning, part of their journey with their disability, whether you're visually impaired or otherwise, I mean, I really struggled with acceptance. And so to me, for some reason, I compartmentalized. I saw this huge, vast difference between legally blind and blind. Even though I now don't really see a huge difference because either way, I'm not driving. Either way, I don't see print. either way, I'm not like picking up the mail and saying, "Oh, who's this to?" I mean, so it's like, but in the beginning, I did. There was this huge gaping hole of identity that I could not wrap around the word just blind, but legally blind was fine because it meant it to me in my head for some reason it didn't mean completely blind or that's what blind was completely blind. I don't know. I hope I'm like I feel like I'm all over the place. I'm not articulating things well tonight, guys. I'm sorry. This is going to be terrible, terrible stream on my part. Y'all are going to have to save me in the chat. But hopefully you understand what I mean. I do now embrace the word blind, have no problem with it at all because that's what I am, y'all. I do have some functional vision, but not enough to really make a huge impact in life. I'm grateful for what I have, though, y'all. Don't get me wrong. All right, let's see. What else do y'all have in the chat? Let's see.
10:42 p.m. Raphael Toro.
Okay,
10:44
I
p.m.
think we got
10:46
that.
p.m. Author Lauren Adele. I like differently able handicapped and special needs always
Okay,
rubs
we
people wrong way.
got
Page 2 of 2.
that.
10:53 p.m. Laura Millar. Internalized ableism is real. That's for sure. It can be hard to. 10:42 p.m. Raphael Toro VIP.
Oh,
10:46 p.m. Author Lauren Adele. I like differently able handicapped and special.
okay, we got
10:47
that.
p.m. Justin Holland. I'll stick with blind. 10:52 p.m. Laura Millar. Message retracted.
Oh,
Actions of 10:52 p.m. Raphael Toro VIP. On my username is VIP. Visually impaired person or very important person. I let people just decide what they want to say about the VIP. Actions available.
very cool. I love VIP. I embraced that back when Derek was the one that introduced me to this term. I don't know who first sort of coined the phrase VIP for visually impaired person or visually impaired people. But I loved it. I was like, yeah, man, VIP all the way, and very much embraced it. I will identify as VIP, visually impaired, or blind. Either I have no problem with any of the terms. Um, and so, yeah, VIP, but I've never heard of visually important person. Is that what you said? I can't, I'll have to go back and look. But yeah, that is so cute. I love that. And I, yeah, what a great way. And I love how you've included that in your YouTube little tag name there. What is it called? Username? Uh, again, y'all, man, I need to drink some coffee or something. My brain's not working. Okay, next comment, y'all.
10:53 p.m. Laura Millar. Internalized ableism is real. That's for sure. It can be hard to find exceptions. The blind community helped me find acceptance and self-love. Actions available.
Amen. Internal ableism, man, that is a huge thing to unpack there, right there. That's a major self insight. I think a lot of people struggle more, especially in the world of disability, than say race, with internal ableism than, for example, African Americans would struggle with external racism. I hope you're following me here. So I feel like I was my own worst critic. I beat myself up, and my own insecurities, my own fears ruled my life and my decisions so much because of that internal ableism. I just wouldn't give myself a break. I was very judgmental. Oh man, acceptance is a very difficult thing, and it can be very brutal process to go through if it's something that you're just not able to embrace. It can really make life miserable. So yeah, that internal ableism.
Actions available.
Sorry, internal ableism. Yeah, it's some strong stuff there. Thank you for that. That was a very awesome comment.
10:52 p.m. Laura Millar. Message retracted.
Okay.
10:52 p.m. Raphael Toro VIP. 10:53 p.m. Laura Millar. Internalized ableism is real. That's for sure. It can be hard to find exceptions. The blind community helped me find acceptance and self-love.
Yes, the blind community also helped me find that. And this YouTube thing, man, when I started this in the beginning of 2020, I had no idea how much this YouTube channel would come to mean to me and the community that I have found here and on Facebook and all the other platforms that I've kind of I didn't have a Twitter account before this YouTube channel, y'all. I wasn't on Instagram. I started all of this stuff all at the same time. And I never realized how much I was missing in my life. I was extremely disconnected from not just the visually impaired community, but the disabled community as a whole, um, for many, many years. In my age group, especially, those who young adults starting families, I mean, it's disabilities are usually things you see as people. It's the frequency of disability in the population increases as the ages increase, if you will. So with older people, the correlation to disability will also increase. And so with my age group, I was never really surrounded with a lot of people that had I guess, a physical or sensory disability. Who knows if there were some invisible disabilities around me? I don't know. But I had a huge disconnect from not just the visually impaired community, but the disabled community. And so I never realized by connecting to other visually impaired people and to other disabled people, I never realized how normalizing it would be, how empowering it would be, how how much more confident I would become. So when I started this journey in 2020, just it's hard to believe it's been about a year and a half, a little more than, and I am so blessed. It's the best thing I have done for myself in a very, very long time. Hence why I'm staying up to the wee hours tonight when I'm dead tired because my 3 and 5-year-old have kept me up all night the previous night. So I do enjoy it. You guys really do fulfill my heart. And so I appreciate y'all tuning in tonight and chatting with me or joining me on the live stream replay. I really appreciate that. Um, okay, let's see any other chats. Let me see. Oh, I turned my sound down because it was like super loud earlier. Sorry. Let's see. I think I did.
Voiceover on.
Oh my God.
Lower Millar.
Now
Internalize the
it's
That's for sure. It can be hard
now
to
it's
find
crazy loud.
community helped me find a sense of
Okay.
self-love. Landscape. Report. Button. Lower Millar. Internalized listen is real. That's for sure. Voiceover on.
Let's see. Hold on. Why is this all wonky?
Voiceover on. Landscape. Dismiss. Double dismiss. Double tap to dismiss.
Dismissed.
10:52 p.m. Raphael Toro VIP on my username. 10:53 p.m. Laura Millar. Internalized. 10:52 p.m. Laura Millar. Message retracted. 10:53 p.m. Laura Millar. Internalized listen is real. That's for sure. 11 p.m. Raphael Toro VIP. Q. What do you think about the national organizations that group blind people like ACB, AFB, or NFB? Actions available.
Okay. Great question here, Raphael. Okay, so I don't know if y'all can hear his question, but he's basically asking about the national organizations. So he's listed the oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the acronym. Thank you. Sorry. He's mentioned the acronyms here. So let's see, the ACB, I think that is, what is that? The Community Blind, American Community Blind. I can't remember. The American Federation for the Blind. I know that National Foundation Fighting Blindness. I don't know. Gosh, there's so many different. I think these are the organizations though that you are listing here. I can't remember all the acronyms and then the official names, but I know there's the American Printing House, Foundation Fighting Blindness, um, all of those types of things. I think they're great. I think they're great. I think they're doing some good stuff. I really do. I love how I believe it is, I can't remember if it's the National Federation for the Blind or Foundation Fighting Blindness, but one of them is kind of the go-between as far as connecting the visually impaired community to the medical community. And I like how it's giving a little bit of patient autonomy there so that our medical information isn't given out to a lot of these medical foundations and all these people, looking for candidates for research studies because they're shooting in the dark, trying to find. And so next thing you know, you're inbox would be like full of all of these studies that have absolutely no relevance to you and your condition. But a lot of these national foundations that you can go through is able to secure and keep safe our documents and personal information, and help kind of them select and meet up and connect everyone to the right uh, people. So patients are getting connected with the right research studies, and vice versa. Medical researchers are able to request certain, they have like, um, the way it was kind of explained to me is, when you get entered into some of these databases and you say, yes, I'd like to get information on research studies or resources or what have you, you're kind of given sort of like an ID number in their system, and it helps keep you anonymous. And so they'll send out these ID numbers saying, oh, this is a, such a blonde female, blah, 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 with Stargardt's disease. And it's there's no name, there's no other information or anything like that. It's just connected to an ID number. And then they have to go back to these foundations and request, hey, I'm interested in this ID number person. Can you reach out to them and see if they would like to participate in this study? So it's like, I do like that they're doing a lot of that type of kind of go between and protecting our privacy and making sure the right connections are made. I love that. I also love the research. I love how a lot of people are able to donate. For example, a, a, a fellow YouTuber of mine who also has Stargardt's disease. Her name is Jessica Purcell. She just opened up a new business as well. I think it's called Macular, think. I'll have to check that out. But anyway, Jessica Purcell, she's Stargardt's disease as well. Check her channel out. She just opened up a new, I guess, a business that donates to Foundation Fighting Blindness. It functions, the way I understand it, a lot like Two Blind Brothers. They're also another big, not-for-profit where all of their proceeds go to benefit Foundation Fighting Blindness. And I appreciate these organizations because they're able to take these funds and appropriately send them to where it needs to go to continue the mission of finding treatments and cures for blindness. And I think that, we are on the cusp of a lot of great things. There's like well over 30 retinal disease studies, genetic testing, and treatments such going on right now. And I think in the next 5 years, most of them are supposed to wrap up, or at least present some pretty significant results. So hopefully in the next 5 years, y'all, there's going to be hopefully some really good research, if not outcomes and progress made with retinal conditions. So keep an eye open on that. But all of that is due to the Foundation Fighting Blindness and all these other organizations that donate to keep these medical studies going. But that's my long-winded response to that. Not to mention, of course, all the research that they do socially, economically, in the education system, all the trainings that they help provide, webinars, you name it, articles published. The American Printing House, by the way, I am excited to announce this. I'll plug this right here, right now. I have been selected as a peer advisor for Vision Aware. So I will be blogging for American Printing House's website, Vision Aware. So that is where you will kind of see a lot of correlation between my YouTube content as well and blogs. So that's a partnership that is newly blossoming right now. I've only been able to write one article so far. I need to get on the ball and start writing some more, y'all. But as you can see in previous videos, things have just been a bit crazy. All right, let's get back to the chat, y'all.
10:44 p.m.
Let's
Raphael Toro
see.
VIP. 10:47 p.m. Justin Holland. I'll stick with blind.
Okay, got
10:52
that.
p.m. Raphael Toro VIP. 10:53 p.m. Laura Millar. Internalized if listen is real. That's
Got
p.m.
that.
Raphael Toro VIP. Q, what do you think about the national organization?
We got that. We're in.
11:04 p.m. Laura Millar. I just encourage folks who are interested in medical model folk get curious about social model too. Actions available.
Yes, I also encourage a lot of the older generations are still stuck with just that mentality of the medical model. It's what they were raised with, it's the concepts that's familiar to them, and they just haven't been exposed to the way of thinking regarding the social model of disability. I totally agree with you. I think the social model of disability has its craters as well in it. There are ways that I wish it too were even more inclusive, but that's another discussion. Um, but yes, overall, the social model of disability is it needs to be more recognized. It needs to be more embraced. The whole universal design concept needs to be strived for. I think even that universal design is kind of a utopia, if you will, of making a perfect environment for everyone. It's because then you get it. I mean, what does that look like? Is that, I mean, how possible is it? But I don't know, but my point here is that we should still strive for it. We should still strive with it being our goal. And if we come short, there is a lesson to learn. But I would love it if architects, if building designers, if um, interior designers, or just all the brilliant genius minds that go into buildings and designs and decorating and just everything. I wish they all included in their degrees, everything like that, concepts of universal design, disability awareness, inclusiveness, all of these concepts. To my knowledge, I don't think any of them are aware of them until they get out into the field and realize, oh, I'm sorry, I totally had that braille sign installed upside down. I mean, it's little mistakes like that that are made all the time in buildings. And visually impaired people, I am not a braille reader, but I hear these stories all the time and I have to giggle because it's so true, and I can see how it could easily happen because unfortunately there's not enough awareness and education regarding universal design and the social model of disability. So anyway, that is my rant on that. I totally agree with you there, girl.
11:07 p.m. Raphael Toro VIP. Personally, I am working to create a group of Hispanic blind people that do not necessarily speak English and can benefit from some networking and translation of good information. Actions available.
Awesome, Raphael. That is awesome. Yes. We have an awesome English speaking community of blind individuals, and we are all here for each other on Facebook and all the other platforms. There's even a Facebook group for visually impaired Instagrammers. I mean, Instagram, of course, is not our preferred platform because it's notorious for not having alt text for images, and so oftentimes you get a bunch of images and such, and you have no idea what the image is, and you're just looking at the little description box people post. But even that, I still enjoy tuning into. But I think it is a very important thing to increase and include the Hispanic population and include more Spanish speaking. Um, Friendly resources and articles. And I wish there was a way of like instant Google translator, so that English speakers could be in the same room, posting in English or speaking in English, and Google just like instantly translate everything for you over like using voiceover. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like if you got your voiceover turned on and someone's speaking in English, but you want to switch it to Spanish, like if it could just instantly translate it for you, wouldn't that be like freaking awesome? It would completely eliminate all the language barriers. Like, holy cow, my mind is blown right now. Okay, all right. this is like the crazy. This is why, y'all, I can't hardly go to sleep at night sometimes because my mind goes like this, 110 miles an hour. It's like my ADHD kicks in. Just it gets bad at night, y'all. I need to. I just need to start doing these streams during the day. Okay.
11:07 p.m. Raphael Toro VIP.
All
Page
right.
3 of 3.
Let's see.
11:07 p.m. Raphael Toro VIP. Personally, I am work. 11:12 p.m. Raphael Toro VIP. Thank you for your nice comments and support.
Oh, you're so welcome, Raphael. If there's anything I can do to help support you and the Hispanic community, please let me know. I would absolutely love to have a Spanish speaking representate someone to represent the Hispanic community on the channel. So if that's you, if you're interested or you know anyone who is blind, visually impaired, or otherwise disabled that would like to represent the Hispanic community, come on, send me a message. Let me know. I would love to have a conversation, including everybody and connecting, making those connections between our communities. All right. So I think I'm caught up on the chat. I'm going to go ahead and just disclose where I sit with the whole disability label thing. I personally, this is just my perspective and opinion, don't judge. I'm not going to judge anybody else. So I personally do not like the term differently abled because I personally don't have any issues with the word disabled. Honestly, to me, I think it all boils down to how we define the words and how we embrace them. I always hated the word handicapped because it's basically handicap basically means you're limiting your success. It's like placing limitations. That's always the association that I made with handicap is limited. And so thus I've never liked the word handicapped because I don't see myself as limited. But I also don't see myself as differently abled. I do understand where a lot of people do identify with differently abled. I can respect it. I can understand it. But for me, I've had no problem identifying with disabled. I think any negative associations, any negative connotations with the word disabled, it is very similar to the ones that we have with the word blind. And when I redefined that and let go of a lot of those negative stigmas that I grew up with, the words no longer carried that power for me. And they meant, they had the power that I gave them, if you will. So disabled, I have absolutely no problem with it now. I have absolutely no problem with the word blind now. And so I identify with both. I think differently able to me is just confusing for me. Because I don't see myself as differently abled. Either I'm able to do something or I'm not. And the way that I am able to do something might be different, but the ability to me is a, I don't know, it's just kind of confusing to me. I guess maybe I need to do a little bit more self-reflection on it and kind of figure out the root of why it's this whole movement started in the first place. But I think the negative associations, the stigmas that people have with disability is literally the power they are giving the word itself. And we have the right and the ability to define that ourselves and carry it with dignity and pride and show everyone and raise awareness of what disabled is and means and the possibilities and all of that. To me, it's exciting. It's like I love seeing the light bulb go on in other people when they learn how I do something differently. And I'm still able to do it. I guess that's where they're talking about the ability to do something, but just differently. I guess I get that now that I'm kind of processing it through. But I still, I just, I don't know. There are things for me that term just doesn't, it just doesn't go far enough to cover all the things that I can't do. Because let's face it, there are things that I can't do. Can I fly a plane? No, you don't want me to. Can I drive a semi truck? No, no one wants me to. And it's like there are things, should I be a surgeon? No, I shouldn't. I mean, there's just logically things that I am not going to be able to do. And differently abled, I don't know how that would fall into that term. I think, I don't know. I think honestly, it just depends on what your condition is and your experiences of limitations are that would determine how you identify with these words. You know, do you feel just as able as everybody else? You're just doing things differently, or is it that plus some actual limitations that you can't do no matter what adaptations there are in the world? Unfortunately, just like, I don't know, a 4'2" person is not going to go slam dunk a basketball at the NFL. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, I am not a sports person, so I have no idea why I just threw a sports analogy out there, y'all. But hopefully you see where I'm going with this. There are some things that God made us the way we are, and that prevents us from us all, being Michael Jordans, I guess. That's my point. So, differently abled is not anything that I can relate to and identify with. I appreciate the term, I appreciate the movement, I respect it, but it's not for me. Maybe that'll change. That's the beauty about life and our growth and journeys through acceptance is what we identified with years past, we change. And heck, 6 months from now, y'all, I might say, hey, y'all, I'm not disabled, I'm differently abled. I don't know. But right now, as I sit here, I, I'm disabled. Plain and simple. And I'm proud of it too, by God. I'm just as capable, disabled. All right. Um, let's see. What do y'all think in the
Hello.
chat?
Wednesday. 11:07 p.m. 11:12 p.m. Raphael Toro VIP. Thank you for your 11:14 p.m. Dukes of Hazzard 0101. How are y'all doing with COVID?
Hey, Dukes. So we are doing well, sir. I did a little recap in the very beginning of the live. Hanging in there. We are improving more and more each day. The kids still have a pretty good cough. My daughter, she lost her sense of taste a couple of days ago. So, not completely, but she kept saying everything tasted wrong or tasted bad. And she's already got a picky appetite, which, how it could get worse, I had no idea, but it did. And so it's been a struggle getting her to eat and finish a meal, as anything other than candy junk, basically. Um, but they're improving for sure. Fevers are finally over as long as we don't hit that dreaded second wave that you hear people discuss, coming around day 6, 7, 8. As long as that doesn't pop up, we should be in the clear to finish out our quarantine and recover fine. So I feel very, very blessed in that regard. So thank you very, very much for asking.
11:14 p.m. Dukes of Hazzard 0101.
Okay, so I think I'm caught up with the chat. So I want to now move into gatekeeping. This is another very interesting topic to me, y'all. Gatekeeping is something, it's really, really common. I get I get the temptation of gatekeeping, but it's also extremely frustrating. So, by gatekeeping, let me first kind of just go into how I define it. To me, gatekeeping is a community, a group of people, whatever, that meet a certain criteria, and they see anyone else who, if they feel like they don't meet the criteria enough or completely or holistically enough, they aren't part of the group. Basically, they aren't part of the club if you can't pay your dues, that kind of thing. And it's a very tricky thing. And so this is where, especially and specifically in the blind community, you hear people say, oh, she's not blind enough. Or, oh, because they don't need a white cane, they're not blind enough. They're not visually impaired enough. Or that kind of stuff. This is the type of gatekeeping terminology and very hurtful things that can be said, and that's usually how it will come across as you'll hear the word enough. That's my hot word that usually turns on my gatekeeping sort of beamers on right there. Is I'm looking out for gatekeeping when I hear, oh, you're not this enough. So I have a huge issue with it, y'all, naturally, because number one, any kind of low vision is significant enough to impact your life in a negative way. And if we can't all just support each other and recognize that and just show some love, I mean, come on. I mean, I have some vision. And if a totally blind person came and told me, "Oh, well, you're not part of the group because you're not totally blind." I would be absolutely devastated. I would be so hurt because it dismisses all of the struggles that I do have. And do I have the same struggles? No, none of us do, right? That's the complexity of disability. It's this massive spectrum, and everyone has their own unique experiences and issues with it. And because of that, we all adapt differently. We all cope differently. We all have different preferences for adaptations and strategies and how we accomplish this and how we do that. It's just everyone has their own individual way of doing things. And so it's kind of like at the end of the day, what difference does it make? Struggle is struggle. And if my struggles are defined under the law as a blind person, then why does it matter how blind I am or how blind I'm not? If I'm blind, I'm blind. We all have similar things that we can relate to. Let's embrace that. Let's support each other and stop hating, y'all. This is something that I really appreciated on Molly Burke's channel. I did a live stream on her, I don't know, a while back ago, and I don't want to sound like I was hating on her or anything in that video at all. I hope I did it gracefully enough. I think in that video I should have clarified that where I am in my life right now as a mom, as a mom that I had lived by myself for many, many years. And at the time, I did not realize she was living by herself. Didn't know that. I truly was under this misconception that she was living with her mom out of insecurity with her disability. And I was totally blown away when I really did go back and dig harder into her YouTube content and discovered otherwise. So I'm going to apologize right now if anyone thought that I was hating on her. I was under some strong misconceptions there, and so I'm going to apologize for that, y'all. And sorry, Molly, if I offended you in any way. I seriously was just under. I made some wrong assumptions. Terrible of me. So sorry about that. But to give her some kudos, I really, really appreciated her speaking up in one of her videos against this, kind of telling everybody, hey, stop with the gatekeeping. It doesn't matter how much struggle someone has with vision loss or not. It doesn't mean we can't all relate to vision loss, if that makes sense. So gatekeeping is a serious issue. It is throughout the world of disability. A lot of people in who are wheelchair users. I see this also a lot in that community because people think that wheelchair users are individuals who experience some kind of paralyzing event in their body, whether it's from the knees down, the hips down, the chest down, the head down, whatever. And that's not true. There are so many different physical conditions that will put someone, unfortunately, in the position to need a wheelchair. And they kind of get dismissed, I think, in the wheelchair community because they are not specifically paralyzed. They have a different condition that is put them in the chair, and that there's some gatekeeping I myself have witnessed. So that, and I'm like, why are y'all even going there? Like, who cares? You're both needing a wheelchair. That's the mobility aid that they prefer or need. And so, hey, let's embrace and like figure out how we can all live inclusively together, happily. Like, why do we have to tear each other down? It's beyond me, but I do understand that slippery slope of temptation of, and I think a lot of it stems from bitterness. I think a lot of it stems from resentment when people start to think this way. I feel like they are attacking people because of their own internal issues with resentment and just their own difficulty with acceptance. And so these people, they feel like, oh, because I see my path as so much harder than yours, so I need to differentiate it in this terrible negative way. Or, they resent people that still have some vision and, are talking about their struggle. Like, how dare you? And they got to play this one-upping game. That's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. And I understand it's hard, especially when you're bitter, especially when you do have feelings of resentment. Those are difficult issues for us all to work through. I definitely had my seasons of it. I had to check myself. I like I said earlier, I had to check myself with Molly Burke. I was, really kind of just not sure. Like, I don't know, this girl looks like she's living on the other side of the fence from me and has got it good, like, but she's worked for it, y'all. So more power to her. Um, all right. Let's see. What else? What y'all got to say about that?
Voiceover on. YouTube,
Here
Wednesday,
we
11:28
go.
p.m. Dukes of Hazzard 0101. And love of yours as well. 11:30 p.m. 11:24 p.m. Raphael Toro VIP. Curious listening to that. Because at times I feel that I am not part of the blind community because I still have some vision. Actions available.
Okay, yeah. See, so Raphael, you can agree. Like sometimes you feel like because you do have some functional vision, so I'm reading your comment or listening to your comment more as an internal way. So that's another way of gatekeeping. We can gatekeep ourselves. Uh, it's kind of like ableism. There's external ableism and internal ableism, and the same with gatekeeping. There's so many times where, yeah, it's funny. Now that I've been using my white cane here lately, y'all, training more with that, and I felt like when I used my cane, I had to almost at times disregard the vision that I do have and almost pretend, I guess, like I'm more blind than I am, if you know what I mean. Because that's like how I'm supposed to act or something. Because I've got my white cane out. I don't know. It's like this identity thing that I am doing some exploration, if I can talk, on right now because yeah, I feel like, with this white cane, all of a sudden I have to present myself a little differently and act as though I'm more blind than I am. I don't know. It's this bizarre thing that I'm experiencing right now. Let me know if anyone else can relate to that. But totally, we can gatekeep ourselves that way by feeling like, oh, I'm not blind enough to have this white cane out right now, or oh, people are going to see me as too much. I can I appear as though I have more vision than I do, and so wait, why does she have that white cane out? Kind of like all these judgments and insecurities and fears, start popping up that I thought I was over years ago on my journey of acceptance. It's like this introduction of this new mobility aid is stirring it all back up in me again. So yeah, totally can relate to that.
0101. I have a genetic condition that causes me not to be able to taste or smell well. Actions available.
Really? Okay, so I'm going back up. I missed that comment. I think.
11:14
Did I
p.m.
miss
Dukes of
another
Hazzard
one?
0101. How are y'all doing with COVID? 11:22 p.m. Dukes of Hazzard 0101. I have a genetic condition that causes me not to be able to taste or smell well. Actions
So
available.
Dukes of Hazzard, he says, so you have a genetic condition that causes you not to smell or taste well. You know, to me, gosh, you know, I don't know. Do you miss it? Like, do you feel like you're missing out on anything in life, or are you just okay, it's just all you know and it is what it is? I don't know. I'm curious about that. My mom, she has sleep apnea. Excuse me. And she has used a CPAP machine for years and years and years, and because of that CPAP, she has lost her sense of smell and taste. It's, I guess, a common side effect of that. I have no idea, but that's what she's reported to me. And it's interesting, how she's eats certain foods now that she didn't, and it's so funny. We'd give her a candle and, oh, mom, this smells so good. Does it? I don't smell anything. She can't enjoy candles anymore and lotions and things like that. So I think I would miss that.
Closing photo and video folder.
All right, let me see what
Google
else.
Maps. Loading.
Uh-oh,
Light. Loading. In icon.
hold
Messaging.
on.
YouTube. Active.
I lost it.
YouTube.
Okay, here we
10:52
go.
p.m. Raphael Toro VIP. On my username is VIP. Visually 10:53 p.m. Laura Millar. Internalized if listen is real. That's
Okay, hold on. I gotta find where we are in the chat, y'all. Sorry
11:04
about
p.m.
that.
Laura Millar. I just encourage folks who are interested in medical model folk get curious about social model too. 11:07 p.m. Raphael Toro. 11:12 p.m. Raphael Toro VIP. Thank you for your nice comments and support. 11:24 p.m. Raphael Toro VIP. Curious listening to that because at times I feel that I am not part of the community because I still have some vision.
Okay, so yeah, we touched on that.
Page 4 of 4. 11:24 p.m. Raphael Toro VIP. Curious listening to that because at times 11:27 p.m. Dukes of Hazzard 0101. Love her channel. Actions available.
Oh, yeah. I think Dukes of Hazzard. Are you talking about Molly Burke's channel or mine? I'll accept both answers.
11:30 p.m. Raphael Toro VIP. Some people in the blind community don't share or consider me as part of their group. Now I just follow my own path. Actions
Good
available.
for you. I mean, if people are going to gatekeep, then I think it's important for us to call them out on it and then just let it go and blaze your own path, man. Blow it up because ultimately it's in everyone's best interest to leave that type of attitude in those people that are determined to hold on to that bitterness and resentment and negativity of gatekeeping. Just leave them to themselves in their own little miserable world, if you will. Like, I don't want to paint them as this, like, these terrible haters, but some of them really are, y'all. And so yeah, man, just blaze your own path because that's the type of positive attitude and leadership that is going to empower more people, resonate, and build more people up. And to me, that's what's that's what's important. That's what the beauty of community is. That's the what support looks like. And life is hard enough. We are hard enough on ourselves. And when you're managing a disability, on top of it, low vision, completely blind, it doesn't matter where you are on the spectrum. Life is hard enough. We all have our individual struggles, and the last thing we want is someone adding and contributing to that in a negative way when we are trying to make those positive connections in life to be our best selves and to live our best life and to get the resources and support or be a support to others. Like, how discouraging is it, if you are trying to step up, be a leader, be a good role model, say, hey, I did this, you can too, and then have someone tear you down. Say, oh, but you're not blind enough to say that. I mean, come on, get out of my way. Let me help somebody. Makes me mad just thinking about it, y'all. I'm about to get my fire under my butt lit again. Happens every time I do these community chats. All right.
Chat message input. Chat publicly as
Okay.
11:37
Am I
p.m.
caught
Raphael
up?
Toro VIP. Appreciate your content. You are doing an awesome job. Thanks for sharing all of this.
Aw, thank you, Raphael, for tuning in. I really appreciate you joining me this evening. That positive feedback, y'all, I need it every bit as much as you all do. It kind of feeds my well and keeps me encouraged to do this stuff and stay up really, really late to record this stuff. I really, really enjoy it.
11:37 p.m. Raphael Toro VIP. Appreciate your content. You are doing an awesome job.
Okay, I don't want to keep I keep hitting the same message thinking it's a new one, but it's not. But thank you very much for that. Like I said, your all's positive feedback, especially when you all make comments on the videos, that it's something. It's like I read them every time. I do respond once a week, but I read them every day that they're posted, if that makes sense. So when you post something, I read it that day because I get the notifications. I just don't always sit down and type out my responses immediately. I go back and do it once a week. I try to go and respond to everybody's comments across the channel. And I really depend on those to kind of keep me encouraged, to keep me in line and in tune with what people are benefiting from and gaining value from, because that's the purpose of my channel here, y'all. I am here to help and serve and just be a positive influence on our blind community. So that's another reason why I wanted to start my own merch store, which is going to be coming out hopefully in a couple weeks, because I want some t-shirts that say the things that I believe in and I want to raise awareness of. And some of them might come across snarky. I don't know. We'll see. But your feedback on the t-shirts and all the merch in the store is welcome as well. If you have anything you would like to say that you identify with, that just you're ready to rock loud and proud on any kind of like bag or shirt or sweatshirt or anything like that, hey, let me know. If it's something I like and agree with, I would love to add it to the shop and all that. So anyway, that's where I'm at. Y'all, I'm going to go ahead and end it. If anybody has some quick questions, real quick, post them right now before I sign off. Let's check in with the chat and see. Well, if I can get it to work.
Voiceover on. YouTube. Report message. Landscape.
Ah, report what message?
Voiceover off.
Stop it, YouTube. I'm not reporting anybody.
Voiceover on. Landscape.
Why is it not working?
Voiceover
I'm
off.
too tired to think about it. Cancel. Okay. Let's see. Anybody got questions?
Landscape. Home button to page 3 of 4. Page 4 of 4.
I think we
11:30
do.
p.m. Raphael Toro VIP. Some people in the blind community does not share or consider me as part of their group. Now I just 11:37 p.m. Raphael Toro VIP. Appreciate your content. You are doing 11:39 p.m. Dukes of Hazzard 0101. Message retracted. At 11:41 p.m. Dukes of Hazzard 0101. I have BDS Bardet-Biedl syndrome. Cause many things. One in every 200,000 newborns get it. Is a genetic syndrome.
Oh, okay. That's pretty rare, a genetic syndrome. Okay. I've never heard of that one.
11:41 p.m. Dukes of Hazzard 0101. I have BBS Bardet Biedl syndrome cause many things. One in every 200,000 newborns get it is a genetic syndrome. 11:41 p.m.
Interesting.
Raphael Toro VIP. Have an excellent night. Action
You
start.
too, Raphael. All right, guys. So that's it. I'm going to go ahead and sign out for this evening. Thank you so much for joining. If you have not hit subscribed yet, please hit subscribe, and to join future live streams like this one in the future, please hit the notification bell, select all. That way you get that push notification, letting you know when I do go live and pop in, surprise everybody. Otherwise, y'all have a great evening. Thank you for this wonderful, beneficial chat, and I will catch you in the next one. Blessings. Bye.